Warning, you are not watching Siskel and Ebert.
You are now entering Wang World.
So now we'll go back with another video. I'm Strange Wang, and finally, I am making my top 10 best of 2022 list. Again, not again, I ain't said it yet, but these are my favorite films of last year. I'm not saying these are the best films. I'm just saying these are my personal favorite films. So everyone has different opinions. So go ahead and put your top 10 in the comment section below. And if you don't like what I like, well, number 10, we got Knives Out to Glass Onion. I thought it was just as good, or if not better than the first one. Personally, I love the whole mystery aspect of what he brings to the table, how he switched it up this time, and instead of the message being greed among family and diving into family issues, he really dived into more social issues, which gave this film a breath of fresh air. It also helped Kanye went crazy after he made this film, so having that big portrait of Kanye, that definitely helped. Number 9, we got The Whale. The Whale was such a experience watching this movie. Not exactly feeling bad for any particular one in this film more than the other, but having ability to understand where everyone's coming from in this film, I thought was something great, and I give that to the writers and the director, Aaron Aronofsky. You know, he knows how to make hard to watch films, and this one goes with the rest of his films that he's made. It's hard to watch at times, but it also gives you light at the end of the tunnel. No pun intended. If you see the movie, you will probably think that's a pretty lame line, but at the end of this movie, I just had this sense of happiness to the point where I cried, and I was very content with my movie watching experience because I went into this movie thinking I wasn't gonna like it, and I left and I was like,
hey, that's pretty good.
Obviously Brendan Fraser is an absolute juggernaut in this movie when it comes to his performance. Everyone else in this film did an incredible job as well, but this year I haven't had a movie that words on the script let me know these characters and understand these characters better than any other movie this year. So, to The Whale, I give it up to that. Number 8, we have X, A24's first of the trilogy. Ty West and Mia Goth. Obviously, they have Maxine coming out later this year, and Pearl came out last year, 2022. However, it's not on this list because I liked X just a smidge better, and that is because 1970s, favorite fucking decade, the decade I should have been born in, I believe. You also have porn. Who doesn't like sex? So that has its going for it as well. The movie references, obviously you get The Shining in there and everything. That was really fucking good. The side stories I thought were appropriate and they made sense, and they added the meat I wanted to chew on. There was great appetizers, I should say. There was a great appetizers until you got to the psycho woman killing everyone. Lessons being, women go do what they want, and you have to understand that, like the guy did in the movie. And fame. Everybody wants to be famous. Everyone has hopes and dreams. So that conversation that ran through the entire film, because, spoiler alert, she lived. So you had that. The whole Pearl thing leading on afterwards, and the end cutscene was very surprising, and it just made the movie that much more special. So because of that, a horror movie actually made my list.
Surprise, motherfucker!
Number 7 is not quite a horror movie, but it's definitely a thriller. You have The Menu coming in at number 7. The Menu was a movie I thought was going to be really, really bad. However, I was really, really wrong, because I absolutely love all the performances in this movie. I love the culinary stuff. I worked in restaurants before. Obviously, everyone does growing up, or you work at a Food Lion, some kind of grocery store. Anyways, the making of food is something I find particularly interesting, even though I'm a very picky eater and probably wouldn't eat anything that was in this film except for that cheeseburger. That looked quite delicioso. So having that there to have my eyes wonder and gander and see all these beautiful images. Let the cinematographer just go to work on them preparing food, showing the food, etc. And that falls into the editing style, which made this film feel different from anything else I've seen this year. And it made it fit the tone of the film and the message it was trying to portray, which I really, really dug.
You dig?
Number 6, I thought this one was going to be much, much higher, but it is The Batman. This is the Batman movie I've always fucking wanted. It's the one that I've always wanted a live action version of. I think it's almost the closest. I think The Dark Knight is still a touch closer to the Batman the Animated Series, but tones, the look of the film gave me a lot of animated series vibes, so I appreciate that from this film. The Riddler, played by
2,000 years later.
I don't know. I forgot his name. That happens sometimes when you're live on camera. But his performance was incredible. Robert Pattinson did as well as I thought he would do, if not better. Zoe Kravitz, amazing as well. Colin Farrell disappeared in the Penguin's makeup, which was an issue I thought I was going to have. But I did not, as you can see, because it's on my list. And I thought it was going to be much higher, as I said before, because this film is fucking great.
Clearly! No debating!
It's a little long, and they gave a little too much away at the end, and the film just kept going when it should have stopped at that perfect moment. But I never thought I would cry from a Batman movie, but this film had that action and the intensity of the crime scene and the thriller aspect, and most importantly, heart and emotion to make me care about Bruce Wayne for really the first time in a movie. So because of that, it brought some water to the tear ducts in your boy's eyes. And I cried at the end of a Batman movie.
Wow.
Number 5 is the biggest surprise on my list. There's a lot of movies I didn't think I was going to like that made the list, but this is the biggest one. And it's Top Gun 2. I fucking hate the first Top Gun. I really do. I think it's a whole bunch of, oh, America this, patriotism shoved down your throat. I don't want to get throat fucked by America.
Ew.
And that's how I feel when I watch Top Gun. This one, it brought enough from the first one to please everyone. And the story wasn't too difficult. It was just filmmaking at its finest. Filmmaking that we used to get back in the day that you really get anymore. Tom Cruise, one of the last movie stars. And he just said, I want real planes. We're going to do some really cool shit with the planes. Cinematography's going to be there with the planes. And because you get wrapped up on this cool shit you see on screen, that's going to bleed over into the relationships. And since you're so attached to what you see on screen, you're going to be paying just as much attention to those relationships. And it paid off because I did. And I was invested on these characters and their quirks, their interests, their likes, their dislikes, how they had relationships with other people in this movie. Obviously, Miles Teller, Tom Cruise being the main one. I thought this film was absolutely incredible and surprising. Just filmmaking that I wanted this year that I didn't know I wanted. I thought it was an art long past, but it is not. Thank you, Tom Cruise, for that. Here at Topical, we're unfortunately poor. And this money you see on screen, that's CGI. That's not real money, because again, we're poor. So if you want to click in the ad eye in the corner, that video is monetized and we can make money off it. So please go watch it.
And if you click an ad, we make more money. And if you really want to help, there's the thanks button right there below this video.
Number 4 is Black Phone. Ethan Hawke is an amazing actor, one of my favorite actors, working the day even. And it is because of things like this, he can do anything. And he threw himself in this performance as the Snatcher. I believe that's it. I've been watching it since the cinema. The Snatcher. I think that's it. That sounds right. Whoever he is the man in the mask. And he's a creepy, sick, sadistic fuck in this movie. And it works. And what I like most about this movie isn't his performance, even though it's very good. It is the grabbers. Maybe that's it, the grabber. I don't know. But it is the vibe of this movie. The Or has Steven Spielberg inspired written all over it. And because of that, I really dug it, and it really allowed me to invest myself into these children and their situation and the mystery aspect, the law aspect, because there are cops in this movie. They have to figure out where are these children going, who is doing this grabbing and or snatching, how can we catch them, and that aspect as well played a part in my investment in this film. So when you have top to bottom every single aspect of a movie interesting, is going to have your investment, and this film did 100% of the way. And because of that, it is my fourth favorite movie of 2022. Number 3 is Vengeance. Vengeance was a film that I was like, oh, that looks pretty fucking solid. I love Southern movies. This one takes place in Texas. Podcasts. Oddly enough, we don't have enough podcast movies. There are some really bad ones that Kevin Smith made, but I'm not going to talk about that. But it's a topic that's relevant, popular, so I will understand that. I will understand the drive of making something because I make YouTube videos. I've made short films in the past. I've made music videos for people in the past as well. So I understand the drive, the motivation, the passion in that. And because of that, and what our main character is going through in this film, I just felt like this movie was made for me personally, and it's just very personal to what I was going through at that time. So because of that, it had to make my list at number 3, because not every day you get a film that just hits you right in the heart, that says, hey, I understand what you're going through. I understand how you feel. And it's almost therapeutic. Films are like emotions, and this was a emotion that really touched home for you boy, Strange Wang, this year. So who knows, years to come, it might not make me feel that way, or I might watch it later on and it might put me back in where the mode, the feeling, who I was in sitting in that theater early 2022. Who knows? That's what movies do, though. They're very powerful, and I love that about it. And a movie that is very powerful is Hustle. That's my number 2. The Sandman comes at it again. Stop doing shitty Netflix comedies. Keep doing dramas, preferably not on Netflix, so I can get this as a Blu-ray and hold it in my hands. That'd be great. But The Sandman has a hell of a performance. It has a Rocky reference in it. I love basketball. It's a basketball movie. Sports movies in general just they spoon feed you investment, and I feel like you don't notice it because you like getting pampered, and because of that pampering, it pays off twice as much, and I'm twice as invested as I would be another movie. And that's how I felt. I felt the basketball was incredible, top to bottom, very authentic, cinematography, camera work, incredible for the sport of basketball. The characters you create seem very authentic as well. The goals, obviously super authentic. We've seen a ton of movies like this, heard a million stories like this as well. You also have a relationship, a bond between coach and athlete, and that just makes this movie special. On top of his relationship with his daughter, Adam Sandler, he brings that in, makes sure she gets enough attention. So that's not, oh, haven't seen this in 1,000 movies. They switched it up, they did it right, and it made for a very interesting, motivational, easily invested movie. So it's on Netflix. Everyone's got Netflix, or they stole someone's password to Netflix, so please go watch it. But before I finish and get to my number 1, honorable mentions, Fabelmans and Clerks 3, both really good movies. Honestly, any of the 3 could have been my number 10. Knives Out edged it out just a little bit, but all 3 great movies. But Strange Wang's number 1 of 2022 is Everything Everywhere All at Once. This film was such an experience. I remember watching this in a theater with someone, and they summed it up perfectly. Looked over to me as I was crying and said, I now understand why you love movies so much. And that's exactly what this movie is. It's weird, it's daring, it's odd, it's filled to the brim with emotions and thoughts and questions. And at the center of all this is a mother-daughter relationship they made this movie so complex and so stylized and different and unique and funny to not distract you, but to keep you entertained for a subject that we've seen a million times on screen. And to make that interesting and to make that hit as hard as it did was something that, to me, was one of the most talented things I've seen all year. Because to make an old concept interesting is very difficult. You got to have the creative mind for it. And they clearly did. They made a fucking action movie, a mother-daughter drama. They made a comedy at times, a science fiction movie. They made so many different feelings and emotions and interesting details for the audience members to latch on, that top to bottom, they, in my mind, made the best movie of the year. And that's why it's my favorite movie of the year. I think if you watch this movie and if you can get past all the weird stuff, if that's not your cup of tea, then you're going to leave the movie theater or the couch or whatever feeling like a whole new person, because you just went through an experience that you can somehow, some way relate to your life and understand why I love movies as much as I do. As that person said, I think that's the biggest compliment I can give to that movie, that that film was that good, that it made someone understand why I fell in love with movies 5 to 10 years ago and why they fucking made such an impact on my life. But let me know your top 10 in the comment section if you haven't already. Scroll back up, hit the like button, share the video,
And
subscribe.
It's not a game, it's a rich thing.